Okay, hello. So if you're new to the channel, I use data science to answer questions that are mostly stupid, sometimes serious. And before we get into today's video, I feel compelled to say thank you. Last week, I was celebrating hitting 50 subscribers, and then literally the next day, I hit 300, and now I'm at 600. It's been so surreal, and I'm really at a loss for words, so the only thing I can say is thank you, Reddit. I hope those of you who have chosen to stay will come to enjoy that decision. Anyhow, today we're talking about D'Angelo Wallace, who is a commentary YouTuber who has seen very impressive levels of growth in a very short time frame. And I've been wanting to make a video about D'Angelo for a while now, until I saw that Tiffany Ferg, who is the blueprint for this channel, made her own analysis of D'Angelo. And when I saw that video pop up in my recommended, I thought, that's it. What else is there to say? But when I actually watched the video, one thing she said gave me pause.
I have never ever seen a channel grow that fast in 1 month.
Really? Really? Because I seem to remember a commentary YouTuber circa 2016 that blew the fuck up out of nowhere, very much like D'Angelo did, and came to be a dominant voice in the commentary genre.
What we do here is go back.
So yes, I am talking about iDubbbz again. But once I started thinking about the similarities between D'Angelo and Ian, I really couldn't stop. So I just had to put them somewhere. And this is that somewhere. And Tiffany's video is really well researched and really thoughtful, and I recommend you go watch it after this one. So y'all know me, I scraped the data. I scraped the subscription counts for both D'Angelo and iDubbbz. And when you compare the daily change in subscribers for both of them, you get this graph. That's weird. It's like literally the same graph. So this graph shows the change in subscribers for D'Angelo from the time period of about mid-August of last year till now. And it shows the subscriber change for iDubbbz from about October 2015 to November 2016. 2015 to 2016, 2019 to 2020, those are the years that both iDubbbz and D'Angelo blew up, respectively. And this massive spike you see here, when both iDubbbz and D'Angelo grew by more than 250,000 subscribers, that was when iDubbbz dropped his content cop on Leafy, and when D'Angelo dropped his mega video on Shane Dawson. And you can see that wasn't the only spike that was happening. Like before, obviously, D'Angelo saw a spike when he uploaded his video about Jeffree Star. Similarly, iDubbbz saw spikes when he uploaded his content cops on Keemstar. You might be noticing something fishy about this graph, which is that iDubbbz was gaining subs pretty much from the beginning, whereas D'Angelo wasn't. And that's because they're at different starting points here. So let's look at the total change in subscribers. So at the beginning of this time period, iDubbbz was starting at about 300,000 subscribers, and D'Angelo was starting at about 8,000. Yeah, iDubbbz had a significant advantage in this. But I'm just trying to argue that the amount by which they grew was the same, which it was. So this line right here represents the starting point of when D'Angelo and iDubbbz started to blow up. So for iDubbbz, that was September 2016, and for D'Angelo, that was July of 2020. So in about 2.5 months, iDubbbz went from 1.8 million subscribers to 2.8 million, and D'Angelo went from 600,000 to 1.6 million subscribers. That kind of growth is crazy. 1 million in less than 3 months. So if we take iDubbbz as a case study of a very successful commentary channel's growth, what does the future look like for D'Angelo? Starting off with the daily change in subscribers, you'll see that if D'Angelo continues making content like he's doing right now, perhaps he might see 2 or 3 more massive spikes like iDubbbz did. So for iDubbbz, this second spike is when he dropped the content cop on Tana Mojo, and the third spike is when he dropped the content cop on Rice Gum. And if we look at the total subscribers chart, you'll see that the potential for growth is very much still there. In less than 6 months, iDubbbz went from 1.8 million subscribers to 4.2 million subscribers. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if D'Angelo's channel followed the same trajectory. And again, I do want to reiterate that iDubbbz started off with more subscribers than D'Angelo did in this time frame. So perhaps Tiffany was right when she said that D'Angelo's growth was unprecedented. The similarity in data is just striking to me because the genres of content they make are so similar. Both iDubbbz and D'Angelo make content that criticizes someone who's been in hot water, who the general public doesn't really like, but breathes new life into that argument by coming up with unique talking points. Like with Jeffree Star, for example, no one really liked him, but I would say that the arguments against him were getting stale. But then D'Angelo came out with this video that just strung together all of the times Jeffree Star lied. And it was astounding, it was hilarious, it was eye-opening. I don't know how anybody didn't connect the dots before, but I'm glad he did. And that type of thinking, that line of argumentation is a thread throughout all of D'Angelo's videos, as it is with iDubbbz. It's something I talked about in my analysis of Content Cop. And there are just so many weird parallels between the two. Like, for example, the channel that blew up for D'Angelo is actually his second channel. His first channel is D'Angelo Wallace, whereas his second channel is D'Angelo Wallace. But little known fact, iDubbbz's channel is also his second channel. His first channel is just iDubbbz. And his second channel, iDubbbz TV, is the one that took off. Okay, that's weird, right? But it doesn't stop there because they've both dressed up as cops. Admittedly, one does it more often than the other. And as I said before, iDubbbz is perhaps best well known for going after Leafy, and D'Angelo has gone after a Leafy clone. They also both just don't seem to give a fuck about staying in a niche. iDubbbz found lots of success with Content Cop, but stopped making them after 2017. Similarly, D'Angelo started out as an art channel, and just one day flipped the switch and became a commentary channel. But the two channels diverge in some pretty important ways. I will admit that I was being a little bit facetious up until this point. I'm not earnestly saying that D'Angelo is a copycat of iDubbbz. I don't believe that as well, at all. Because number one, D'Angelo's commentary is so much more thought-driven and long form than Ian's commentary ever was, right? There's no wacky skits or outrageous spectacles in D'Angelo's videos. It's pure argumentation, it's pure rhetoric. In fact, his videos are often minimalistic. There's no sort of out there editing or out there props. It's just him and his mind. They're not minimalistic in terms of length, though. Certainly not in length. I would also argue that D'Angelo is a bit more responsible in terms of his arguments and how they can be construed or misconstrued by his fans. His stance on the N-word is far more respectable, sensible, even.
I don't have time to go through but the word has a racist history. But iDubbbz said it's just a word debate because I already know where I stand on that and I don't really need to change anybody's mind.
And like, I will be honest, D'Angelo is not without his problems. Sometimes his commentary misses me. Sometimes I find myself disagreeing with certain ways in which he presented facts or framed an argument. But he also recognizes that. He seems so willing and open to criticism and to changing his opinions.
See, I've made the mistake in the past of basing my entire argument around the fact that somebody is too old to do something, but that's honestly not fair because older people are still people and people do really dumb stuff regardless of how old they are. I think we should let them instead of not allowing them any space to make mistakes.
That's never an impression that I've gotten from iDubbbz. Something that's really struck me about the sudden rise to fame that D'Angelo has enjoyed is that it's not entirely uncommon in the beauty industry, right? He's not per se in the beauty industry, but of the channels that made videos about this whole Tati, James Charles, Jeffree Star situation, his video shot to the top, even though he had less subscribers than a lot of the established commentary channels in this space. And you have to wonder why, right? There have been so many creators, women especially, and women of color, who have made videos about the three of them, both before the drama blew up and during, and none of them got the amount of views that D'Angelo did. People like Amanda BB, It's Keisha, As Told by Kenya, and of course Cheska Lee, who was sort of the original arbiter of this criticism of Shane Dawson and harbored so much harassment and bullying because of it. And this is not to fault D'Angelo for things he can't change. He is a man, and he is a Black man, and his videos made an immense impact. I'm not denying that nor denouncing that. I'm just merely commenting, or not even commenting, but pointing out the fact that men have taken over the beauty industry with speed and ease. You know, I'm talking James Charles, Jeffree Star, even Shane Dawson. Simply because they're men. There was like intrigue and shock factor in it, right? They're entertainers in their own right, but you can't deny that the fact that they were men in a primarily female-dominated space helped them on their journey to success. Like, I can't help but feel the same way about D'Angelo when I see how quickly his videos got picked up by the algorithm and by people in the drama community. Is it because he's a man? You can't say conclusively, but I mean, why else, right? Why else? There's like, nowadays there's no shortage of long form commentary. And again, I'm not dismissing the amount of work or the level of thought that goes into each of these videos. Like I said at the top, they're extremely unique and extremely well thought out videos. But he's not the only one doing that, right? Like, I watch Amanda BB, I watch As Told by Kenya, and I always walk away from those videos having my mind blown. They make unique arguments too. They present things clearly and concisely too. They also bring their own perspective to it because they are people who are in the beauty community. People who have a more intimate understanding of how these creators interact with these audiences. And as much as you can research and watch these videos, if you didn't grow up in that space, you're always going to be having an outsider's perspective of it. And there are plenty of men who grew up in the space. I'm not saying that because D'Angelo is a man. He didn't. And perhaps he did grow up in that space. Perhaps he did grow up watching these channels. I don't remember him saying as much in his videos. Maybe he wants to remain impartial and not bring his own perspective to it, which I get it. Trust me, this really isn't a criticism of him. I love him and his channel and his content. I'm just perplexed. And I think it allows for us as a community to ask ourselves, why do we prop up the people that we do? Why do we support the people that we do? I'm sure you've heard about this concept before, the glass escalator, right? It's this idea that men in particularly female-dominated spaces can have a quicker ascension to the top, right? So male teachers typically wind up getting administrative positions more often than women. Male nurses are typically mistaken for doctors. And men are not a monolith. Of course, there are other factors at play here, race being one of them. Black men are not mistaken for doctors as much as white men, as one of the studies I read said. I mean, ultimately, I may be spinning my wheels here. I just think it's very, very curious that none of the women I mentioned, none of their videos even remotely got the same amount of views that D'Angelo did. Most of them didn't even crack 1 million. Most of them didn't even crack 500,000. And most of them have been in this space for years and have an established audience. Whereas D'Angelo did not. But I am excited for the future of his channel. And I'm excited to see what content he makes following up this trio of videos he's made. Because, oh boy, if I was him, I don't know what or how I would follow that up with. Good luck to you, my good sir. And going off that theme, I want to get a little bit into what's next for my channel. So as I said at the top, I'm extremely thankful, surprised, shocked by the growth that this channel has received in the past week. But there have been other things in my life going on. So since August, I have started my senior year of college. I've been the lead researcher on a project. I got a job. I got a dog. His name is CJ. And my YouTube channel is starting to take off. It's a lot. But I'm a workaholic, so honestly having this many pots on the boil has been really exciting for me. I'm also a realist though, and I gotta say out of those 5 things, this YouTube channel is probably my lowest priority. So I would say expect 1 or 2 videos a month. I don't think I can continue the weekly thing, at least right now. But I will say if this channel gets monetized, then it would probably rise in priority for me. So subscribe, like, or dislike, depending on how you're feeling today. You know, give me that engagement. But more importantly, comment. I would love to hear what sort of things you'd want me to look into. I'd love to hear feedback on this type of video. I know this was a quickie. I hope this was a quickie. I never know how long a video is going to be until I sit down to edit it. But yeah. I'll catch y'all in the next one, okay? Bye!